We're in a series on Sundays that's taking us toward the cross by following Jesus through the last hours of his life. And what we looked at yesterday has two of those kind of events that are really unexpected. And the event that we're going to look back at this morning, you would never expect to happen, but it did. And tomorrow we're going to look at the other that you're just sure would have happened, but it didn't. And I will say that both are either still happening or not happening even today. So let's look at those verses again. It's Mark chapter 15, beginning in verse 26. As the soldiers led him away, and we're just going to stop. I want to make sure we catch what's going on. The Romans would lead the criminal, in this case Jesus, to the scene of crucifixion by as long a route as possible. It's called the Via Dolorosa, or the way of suffering. And as Jesus carried his crossbeam, he staggered under its weight, no doubt due to his physical exhaustion of the trials and the scourging and the mockery of the soldiers, which sets the scene for what we're reading. But here's the first. It's back to our verses, verse 26. As the soldiers led him away, led Jesus away, they seized Simon from Cyrene, who was on his way in from the country, and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. So the Roman soldiers grabbed a man, this guy named Simon from Cyrene, made him carry Jesus' cross. So Cyrene tells us he's a Jew living in Africa who is in Jerusalem for the Passover. And the Gospel of Mark tells us that he's coming in from the fields as the mob was heading out of Jerusalem. And as they're leaving the city, he's just outside coming in. You see, Palestine was an occupied country, and all a Roman officer had to do was tap a Jew on the shoulder with the flat of his spear. And the man had to carry out any task, however menial and distasteful, that was given to him. And since he was from Africa, the chances are that he'd not heard of Jesus before this. Now, we have nothing that tells us he knew who Jesus was, and this would not have been seen as an act of sympathy. He didn't volunteer for this, but for the rest of his life, it would be a source of shame. Yet, listen, you didn't want to have anything to do with being associated with the cross. Can you imagine how much anger Simon must have felt? Probably even hatred for the man for whom he was forced to carry it. But chapter 15, verse 21 says this of the event. He gives us this detail about Simon in the Gospel of Mark. The other Gospels don't give us this. It says he was the father of Alexander and Rufus. Why does Mark say that? And what does that mean? You know, it tells us that the church that Mark wrote to knew Alexander and Rufus. Tradition actually tells us that Simon became a follower of Jesus, and because of that, his sons did too. You know, that's been repeated in lives all through history and at MCC, and it's still happening today. And I hope I can encourage you to let that be part of your story, even if how you came to know Jesus wasn't the best of circumstances, because it definitely wasn't for Simon. But he used that to help his sons and impact the church in his day. And you can today. You can help someone get to know Jesus, your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors, someone you work with, someone you do or did go to high school with. At MCC, we are disciples who make disciples. We help others come to Jesus. So because of you, may they come to know Jesus.